there. This is actually day 22 supplemental. There's only one more phase left in day 22, so I mean, unless something else super exciting happens, I won't have to do a day 22, another one. That means that my next date will be update will be day 23. So um, the reason for this supplemental is great news, good news, great news, wonderful news. I actually had my first pre-lucid dream in this phase. Now, I have begun practicing mild, which is the mnemonic induction of lucid dreaming that was invented by Stephen LaBerge. You can find in his book Lucid Dreaming, and but at the same time, I've been having a ton of no sleeps, so the only time I actually practice the mild is when I know I'm tired and I know I'm going to fall asleep naturally, and then I practice it, and then so that's how that's gone. But I had the first pre-lucid dream, and I might as well describe that first. I'm not going to do the whole dream because it's just an extra bunch of words that you guys, might enjoy or whatever. But I'm not going to go through all that. I was at like it was like a public rock gym, where it wasn't just a rock. You know what I mean by rock gym? Okay, climbing, rock climbing. Okay, and the it wasn't just a rock gym. I mean, there was like it was like a community center, but it was a rock gym. So I mean, there was a lot of different things going on. Like there was sometimes we were studying, and other times we were public speaking, and then and we'd socialize. It was just like a rock gym inn. I mean, not an inn, but like a bar or a pub. But it wasn't based around alcohol. I mean, it was based around like socialization and like living life in this rock gym. I mean, it was like really cool. But anyway, there's several things that happened. Okay, the first thing I want to mention is that at a certain point during a socialization period, um, I actually met a group of people. First of all, I met this one guy, and I was looking at his clothes and the book that he had, and so I said, "Hey, I'm a polyphasic sleeper just like you are." And no, what I said was I'm Uberman just like you are. That's what I said. And so that was cool. And then we started walking and talking, and then we ran into another couple of guys that were polyphasic too. And so then I was like gearing up, like the energy was flowing through me, and I was gearing up to talk all about my polyphasic experiences and everything. And then this guy, the first guy that I saw that I met, he said he'd been polyphasic for like 100 and something days or something, and I was just like, I don't know, I was like, I just like shut up, and then what he did was he had a chart of his recent sleep phases. Okay, and so we were examining that, and I was looking at it and going, okay, because he had a his recent last phase was a sleepover. He missed sleep, and so I was looking at a summary of his latest phases. I mean, not just the last one, but like a bunch of them strung together. And I was looking at him going, okay, you're looking good, because what had happened was, even though he was adapted, he still had a mess up. But he obviously was fully adapted because all the other phases were fine. It was just this one phase that he had a mess up. And so that was like really cool, and it's like a demonstration that my subconscious mind is fully aware of what adaptation is, fully aware what polyphasic sleeping is, understands what's going on, you know which I just think is like wonderful. I mean, I just really do. And of course, I do have polyphasic euphoria in this phase, so I'm a happy camper. Um, and a couple other things that I wanted to mention about that dream because I thought they were really interesting. Okay, well, one of them was since it was a rock gym. At a certain point, I was up on this ledge, and one of the rock gym instructors was talking about somebody that had made a mistake in lead climbing, where they made like a really bad and suicidal mistake. And so I was telling them, I was telling them, yeah, this is why my instructors at the rock gym that I attended, this other one, a regular one, it was stressed to me so much that you just don't do lead climbing by yourself. I mean, you just don't do lead climbing. You really gotta understand what you're doing to be a lead climber. You don't just do it. And I'm blabbering on about that. And then one of the instructors, because I was it was like this shelf that was like up in the air, like a flat area, a flat shelf. We were standing there talking, So part of the rock gym was like elevated, and then there was this drop off, and it made a cliff. And so one of the rock gym instructors just was smiling at me, and I'm standing on the ledge, and I looked down, and I had absolutely no fear of heights or anything. And the rock gym instructor was smiling, walked up to me, and pushed me off the ledge. And and I actually was looking forward to falling, which I think is pretty cool. And when I landed on my hands. I totally, with my hands, cushioned the gravitational force of the fall, held it, and then pushed up into a handstand and just stood there for like 15, 20 seconds, just, energy going through me. And I thought that was like totally cool. And it should have been an indication to me that I was dreaming, by the way. Obviously, that was a very clear dream cue. Say stupid, you're dreaming. Um, but, I just thought that was awesome. And the movement downward, the act of falling and motion downward is significant. Um, in a number of different ways regarding dreaming and such like that. And if you already know what I'm talking about, great. If not, there's a lot of significance to that movement. Um, and the way that I handled it, I think, is also good. It's a very positive way of handling that potentially negative event. And so, okay. And then the final thing about that um, dream was at a certain point, um, I thought to myself, gosh, look how everything is so clearly presented, and every little thing that's happening to me is like perfect. It's like, it's perfectly structured and like perfectly oriented to myself. And it's just like everything was like made for me. I could like tell, and it was like just perfect. And I said, when I have something like that, I really should do a state check, to see if I'm dreaming. And I thought to myself, okay, well, okay, let's do a state check. But we were involved in some sort of public activity. In fact, it was prayer. That was a portion of this rock gym was praying. And so I started to do, meekly, weekly, to do a state check. But I got distracted by the public event and didn't do the state check, which is why it's a pre-lucid dream. And so that's another thing right there. I mean, obviously, anytime you think of doing a state check, you must accomplish that state check without fail. And I do that in my waking life because I have times still to this day where I think, man, that's so dreamlike. I better check. And but anyway, so that's that. Now, I'm sure you guys are plenty bored. So back and then now some more boring stuff. Ready? The Okay. So we're talking about day 22 here. Okay, and it is like somebody has flipped a switch. I have moved into like a different phase, overall phase, not time phase, but overall phase of polyphasic sleeping here. Um, you know, the and it started on day 21. Okay, with a vivid REM dream and polyphasic euphoria at 7 p.m. Okay, and then it extended itself to the day 22, the day I'm describing, with two vivid REM dreams and polyphasic euphoria in a row at the 3 a.m. phase and the 7 a.m. phase. That 3 a.m. phase was the first time I've ever seen recalled a vivid REM dream in the entire 22 days that I've been adapting. So that is like a christening of that 3 a.m. phase. Um, and there's something else significant about that. Um, oh, right. The second, the fact that that 3 a.m. phase. My goodness, wait a minute. See, you can't keep everything in your head. You just can't. It's why you have to have charting. Okay, you gotta chart your phases. You gotta know. I mean, after 22 days, you think I'm gonna remember every single day and exactly where everything is? It's gonna get all muddled and messed up. So this is why I have this spreadsheet. So it's important. Um, okay. So right, because this 3 a.m. phase was a phase where no sleep used to occur. And it used to be a problem. It used to be something I had to overcome because these no sleeps kept occurring in the 3 a.m. phase. So to have the vivid REM dream occur, and that has not been a problem for quite a while, by the way. In fact, actually, that was way back. Okay, but the actual phase that it really became stronger, much stronger, was the 7 a.m. phase. Okay, so obviously had two in a row. So this is a second vivid REM dream with polyphasic euphoria in the 7 a.m. phase, which pretty much put the nail in the coffin on the no sleeps that were definitely occurring in that phase at the 7 a.m. Okay. Um, Okay, the 11 a.m. 3 p.m. phases went fine. The 3 p.m. phase um, only had mild sleep deprivation. Okay, now that is significant because the 3 p.m. phase is the phase where the mind has chosen that time to fight. Okay, and that's when you get the heavy sleep deprivation and you get really bogged down by it. Okay, that didn't occur. And I even had a no sleep in day 21 at the 3 p.m. phase. Okay. And even a no sleep before that at day 20. But the most significant is that no sleep at day 21 and the lack of the massive sleep deprivation. Okay. Um, and because it has been well over 48 hours now from my last negative sleep event. Okay. So this is progress. I've moved out of that oppressive chunk of time, which started on day 12 and went to day 20. So roughly a week of hell, where whatever would go wrong, whatever could go wrong would. And even though we had all of these different technical errors or severe nod-offs and victories, of the sleep deprivation, even though that phase was hell, it is littered with vivid REM dreams that are right along with those negative sleep events. I mean, they're all chained together. I mean, I said that it started on day 12 was the bad time was, but look what also happened in day 12. Vivid REM dream. Okay, in day 12, day 13 had a recalled REM dream. Day 14 had a vivid REM dream with the first one was a vivid REM dream with polyphasic euphoria. The second was okay. Day 13 is just a recalled REM dream, so it's not really a vivid REM dream. It was kind of fragmentary, but it was a REM dream recalled. Okay, and then day 14, a vivid REM dream without polyphasic euphoria, and then after that, subsequent to that, a flying dream. Now this is in the worst section of with obviously flying dream is polyphasic euphoria. Okay, this is in the worst section of time here, and I'm not even done because day 15, vivid REM dream without polyphasic euphoria. Day 16, vivid REM dream, two in a row. Day 16, no polyphasic euphoria. Okay, day 17, vivid REM dream, no polyphasic euphoria. Day 18, vivid REM dream. Okay, no polyphasic euphoria. Okay, and then as of day 18, the it became its very worst because then all of that stopped for one, two, basically almost 3 full days, and I had a chunk of no sleeps in a row. Um, and then on day 21 is when it broke. Okay, that had a vivid REM dream at 7 p.m. with polyphasic euphoria. And then here we are, day 22, 3 a.m. vivid REM dream, polyphasic euphoria, 7 a.m. vivid REM dream, polyphasic euphoria, and 7 p.m. pre-lucid dream, polyphasic euphoria. I mean, it's like, whoa. Um, you know, so it really, because I really felt so oppressed by those negative sleep events. I have them colored red in this chart. And they look like demerits, you know what I mean? They look bad. They look, they're weighing on my mind, my consciousness. And, if I hadn't actually charted the phases, I wouldn't even know about this undercurrent that is running through here of these vivid REM dreams where you can see clearly the mind is adapted within all of this struggling. The mind is adapted, it's just not fully adapted, but it's right there fighting. It's almost like it's fighting for me, for to be adapted, and that is a valuable perspective to have. I mean, it's like a morale lifter. And I think that oftentimes, people end up quitting, myself included, you know because they're not aware of all the progress that they've made. And just uh, just a shame. And it's, again, why I absolutely have to recommend tracking your phases, dates, phase by phase. In fact, I'll go ahead and, just since I mentioned it right here, I'll go ahead and pull up what I track, so that you can see what I'm talking about. I have a list of the things that I track, and I have it listed formally. So, I mean, I will just read off the list rather than have to try to recall it and maybe miss something. Um, Okay, here we go. All right, so you want to track if you're properly falling asleep in the phase. So if you don't get sleep, in other words, if you don't black out, at least if you don't get to sleep, you need to make a note of that. It's called a no sleep. Okay, and you need to make a note that that happened in that phase. Okay, if you awaken with polyphasic euphoria, okay, that's that elevated feeling. You can't miss it because you just feel automatically good. It's the best way I can put it. Automatically good. um, you know, and there's different. I suppose there's different levels of polyphasic euphoria and whatnot, but haven't really gotten into that. If you have polyphasic euphoria, it'll, from my experience, now it doesn't. You may not recall the dream that where it caused it, or it may be caused by just uh, the effects of a good delta sleep. I mean, I don't exactly know, okay, but from my experience, it's pretty much always associated with dreams, and always associated with certain types of dreams. Um, that Polyphasic euphoria tends to generate anyway, because you're so close to delta sleep, and as a REM cycle, so close to it. Okay, and then you awaken immediately, so close to all of that. You're at elevated states of consciousness right there, and so that polyphasic euphoria is, and those elevated states of consciousness dreams, those are um, those are characteristic of polyphasic sleeping, because normally delta sleep only occurs early in your on a monophasic, normally, quote unquote normally, a monophasic sleep cycle. The delta sleep only occurs in the early part, like in the first 4 hours. Okay, and then there's no more delta. You don't go back to delta anymore. What happens is you start doing your REM cycles, REM and REM and REM and REM and etc., all the way through, and then what happens is your REM cycles start to increase, like in length, until you get all the way out to, like, 6, 7, and 8 hours is when you have this solid, and it gets better each as long the longer you go. Um, okay, but what's the point there? Well, the point is you're no longer anywhere close to delta sleep anymore. Okay, when you wake up, you're in REM. Okay, so you're awakening out of REM, or very close to REM. Okay, so there's no delta sleep to be had. Okay, Now, combine that with the fact that not only are you waking up very close to delta sleep, which is the highest form of consciousness, okay, um, in sleep, and uh, not only are you doing that, but your brain is stuffing high quality REM right next to delta sleep. That doesn't happen in a monophasic sleep cycle unless you have broken your sleep. And that's Stephen LeBurge mentions that it's like sleep transfer. He calls it like scheduling time for lucid dreaming, and you break your sleep cycle, and then you can create an example of that. You're altering the way the mind, when you go back in, you're altering the way that the mind functions. There, but that's the whole point, though. See, you don't have to do any of that. All you have to do is put your head on the pillow for 20, 30 minutes. Okay, and you automatically don't have to do anything fancy. Just put your head on the pillow. You're gonna go delta, REM, and awaken. Okay, so that's why polyphasic sleeping generates higher states of consciousness dreams, because you have the brain making not a fragmentary REM. Okay, that's the only thing that gets close to a delta sleep is a fragmentary REM. It's not like a full-on REM going. They're fragments. If you ever written down a dream, it's just these images really that are strung together, and there may be a slight thread that makes a plot, maybe, or it makes sense or whatever. I mean, they make sense because they're hypnagogic. Like hypnagogic makes sense, but not make sense like real life makes sense. It's very symbolic. Um, but anyway, so your brain, you just had delta sleep, right? And now instead of that fragmentary REM, you know, you have full on fledged 8 hour REM. I mean, that's, you know what I mean? You have full on fledged vivid 8 hour quality REM sleep right next to a delta phase. Okay. Um, oh my gosh. Got the weirdest email. That was one of the best spam emails I've seen in a long time. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, so your brain is going overtime providing this REM sleep. Okay, right next to a delta phase. Okay, this is why you've got higher states of consciousness right in your dreams automatically because you're doing the Uberman. Okay, that's why it's better for lucid dreaming. And it's what creates the polyphasic euphoria. Okay, so in other words, just keep in mind, back to the point, you need to track your polyphasic euphoria because it's showing you how strong your adaptation is. Okay, because the more polyphasic, the more consistent you have polyphasic euphoria, the stronger your REM is, and the more your brain is stuffing REM into your naps, and that's what you want. Once you have the the brain totally giving up and fully adapting to the schedule, that's all you're going to have. I mean, you're going to have a regular night's sleep in your naps, spread out over the 6 naps, and that's why you don't have sleep deprivation. Okay, that's why I'm not having sleep deprivation right now, is because that elevated state of consciousness, this polyphasic euphoria, is eclipsing it. There's no, I mean, it just passes right through me. It's a force that's there to check you if you've overstressed yourself, okay, so that you don't go insane, so you don't hurt yourself, so you know that you get the necessary sleep stuff, okay, to function safely, sanely, sort of preservation of the organism, you and your body. So sleep deprivation doesn't exist when you have polyphasic euphoria because you're you know you've got everything you need. You're not going to be sleep deprived. So it's like being hungry or whatever. You ate. You're not hungry. All right. But anyway, the other thing you track is if you awaken recalling having dreamed. I mean, obviously that's significant, very significant. So you got to make a record of those things, and then finally, you need to be tracking all your deviations from the sleep schedule, how long the deviations lasted, and that includes oversleeping the alarm, falling asleep from waking, okay, and if you change the schedule, go to sleep late. Now, I haven't been tracking the going to sleep late. I just basically update my alarm to allow me to do it. Um, but I suppose it could become important, at a certain type of analysis that you're doing. I mean, and that's another thing, as you progress in adaptation, like for instance, I mean, I might want to start tracking instead of those things. Like if I'm adapted, I might want to start tracking my diet and start tracking, that in relation to polyphasic euphoria, or energy levels. Just energy levels in general. Um, so my diet, energy levels in general. Do I have low energy? Do I have like high energy? So I can maybe see if there's a connection between diet and energy levels. And when I ate, like did I eat early in the phase, late in the phase, that type of thing. So I don't know, but I mean, there's things you can do like that with tracking your phases. So I mean, you can. It's a very, very important tool, and so wanted to share that with you since we were talking about it, because of the revelation here about you know not the fighting during the worst time of my adaptation, because it has actual failures in there in my schedule. Um, there was my mind was fighting to be adapted with REM dream all the way through every single day unbroken. There wasn't a single day I didn't until we hit day 19, which um, I had a bad alarm set, and then just the the dreaming. I wasn't able to recall any dreams. I had a bunch of no sleeps in a row, and then day 21, it's like it's broken out. Okay, so the next thing, of course, is um, what's the next threshold to break here. Um, and it's going to be 72 hours of no negative sleep events. The last time that happened was back between day 8 and day 12. Um, okay, so here we are, day 22, and it's going to be based on, of course, day 23. And okay, now I have encountered the boogeyman. I do understand there could be a second wind coming. Okay, and I would be surprised if it didn't happen. I mean, I'm not expect like it's like you know I'm most happy and gracious to accept an adaptation here. I mean, and not have to, that noticing that the sleep deprivation has basically disappeared. I didn't have to fight it off anymore. It just is gone. Um, but I have gone 72 hours before with no negative sleep events to have only to have the sleep deprivation come back. Okay, so this would be a sort of a. It's not a second wind. It's more of a third. In this case, it would be a third wind. And I've never been this far in polyphasic sleeping before. The Uberman, I've only gone. Day 21, midway through day 21 was a record for me. So um, this is just interesting. So I'm just gonna see, and it really depends on day 23. If I go through 72 hours, I will have broken the no sleep cycle. Like I've been having no sleeps almost constantly every phase. I mean every day, which is insane, by the way. Absolutely insane. I've never seen anything like it. Um, but right now I'm over 24 hours from my latest no sleep. Whereas if I continue that on day 23, I will have broken that cycle that's been going on since the entire time I've been polyphasic sleeping. There's never been a break of more than 24 hours. I mean, of up. I mean, there's never been a break of 48 hours or more since I started. no sleeps. Can you believe that? I mean, everybody knows that the proper way you adapt is you have no sleeps in the beginning when you first get started, but then your brain's like, oh, we're not having any more of those. Screw that. We're getting to sleep. You know what I mean? And that's what happens. You put your head on the pillow, you go to sleep every single time. You know what I mean? And it's like clockwork, because the brain is like, I ain't doing that again. um, and that's the normal way to adapt. I mean, that's the normal way things progress. But here, I mean, I've had no sleeps nonstop throughout the whole thing. Never more than never up never 48 hours have I gone since I started without no sleeps. And I've got shucks. How many do I have? One. Well, I'm not going to count that one. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. Is that 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18? I've only been doing this 21 days. How do I have 18 no sleeps? It's insane. And how is it's I would if someone told me that, I would have told them that it was impossible. I mean, Aya did it. This was hilarious. She just, went to work and didn't sleep. And she came home all happy. Um, which blows my mind, by the way. Still. Um, but she did it on purpose, man. I mean, I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm trying to go to sleep. So I don't understand it. I don't know how to explain it, and I've never seen it before. And it's like I said, if someone had told me they had been doing this, I would have said it's impossible. Unless your brain's messed up, you might we need to sleep cycle. I mean, you know, you might need to go to a sleep lab or go to the hospital or something because you can't be having no sleeps like that, extended like that. Doesn't make sense. Why? Why? And I still can't explain why the no sleeps are there. It's abnormal. I'll tell you that right now. It's an abnormal amount of no sleeps. Um, and I guess I just have to leave off of that. But I mean, it's. I want to break it. I don't ever want to see a no sleep ever again, ever. They're gone. I don't want to see that. Okay, anymore. All right. So day 23 will be really instructive. And I'm gonna tell you right now, if we hit day 23 and I don't have any negative sleep events, um, I am really making progress towards total adaptation. And I'm gonna give it after that. If day 23 goes perfect, I'll give it 4 more days before I declare adaptation. Okay, and that's a tall order right there. That is a tall order. Going 7 days without any negative sleep events. Um, and I don't mean, well, yeah, I don't even want to talk about no sleeps. Don't even ask me about that. Okay. But I tell you, I feel great. Day 22, feeling awesome. My past 48 hours have been awesome. And I think that's my first pre lucid dream of all of the time that all 3 attempts that I've done. It's the first pre lucid dream that I've had ever. I don't think I've had a lucid dream ever in polyphasic sleep. I don't think. I have to go check, but I don't think I've had one, a lucid dream. Um, maybe. It might have been, it would have had to have been my first attempt if I did. Um, but I also have deliberately not been practicing because lucid dreaming because of my desire to not stress my brain out while I'm trying to stress my mind out while I'm trying to get to sleep, which is so important. I mean, it's so important. Um, so, yep, things are on the up, that up and up here, and this is why I've done the supplemental for day 22. One more phase to go, and we enter into day 23. And yes, So my next update should be day 23 for you, and wish you the very best. Thanks for listening. I mean, I'm only just getting started here. When I fully adapt, oh man, I'm just gonna bust out all over. So, talk to you.